to do something about that. And actually, the first sort of iterations on the kit were very much focused on that. We had a lot of iterations of the kit where he had this sort of train of very, very prototype stuff. He had like this train of minions following him around. And it looked completely ridiculous. And it made him, you know, actually like legit long. And the problem with that was we couldn't find any gameplay that was particularly, oh jeez. Smartcast! Oh dear. Well, there don't seem to have any problems finding the hitbox on this model. Haha, barrier. Barrier heavy portfolio pays off. First off, pause everything. What the heck? Not that one, and not that one. Okay. We tried having his body be like, oh yeah, for gameplay reasons, it is enormous. You know, it's like half a screen long, and the gameplay just really didn't find anything we really liked there. In large part because that meant he had to be a tank. He had to be a tank character whose objective was to stand around in a fight and impede the enemy. Because if he wasn't the tank, then he just died. He couldn't like wind his body in where it needed to go and actually accomplish anything. So we kind of put that on ice. And then there were a lot of other sort of like, how do we make this not look like he's a giant like chain of sausage links? And the answer was, we're not quite sure. Being Riot, we could have figured it out eventually, but we sort of decided, okay, hold on, let's see if there's anything else out there that might work. And we found pretty quickly that, hey, if we just made his tail sort of not part of his hitbox and stick out the back, and then not really have, and then just have his hitbox be the front of him, yeah, this sort of solves the problem. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, I think. I think I'm so used to seeing it that I don't even notice it. But, yeah, I think it definitely, oh, this is not safe. I think it works out, and it lets us do, it makes his tail this really beautiful, it lets us make his tail this really beautiful,
having a bad time, I see.
Yeah, well, I got ganked by 2 people. Also, funny enough, I've never played Aurelion Sol versus another Aurelion Sol before. That's like completely slipped my mind to ever try it, because we always have, playtests are always sort of, oh, we're going to test Aurelion Sol versus a regular mid laner and see how that goes, and sort of do balance changes, and I never really considered, it just sort of slips the cracks to test him against himself.
Have you shown the folks at home the recall animation yet? Or have you just died all the time?
Well, I did it once, but it wasn't on screen.
Okay, alright. Let's
I'll do that real quick.
Okay. People, we got the recall animation?
Yeah, so he sort of crushes a star, and then he opens this like singularity, and
I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Folks, apologies for all the shoulder looking, like I mentioned, because we had to switch computers. I can't actually see the game anymore, so I'm going to be paying attention to chat mostly, but, yeah, checking out over there. I gotta know when to make fun of Luke, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hey, I saw somebody in chat, by the way, say that it was really cool to see a champion being born like this, and we're so excited to be able to bring this kind of stuff to you guys.
Yeah.
We obviously run weekly podcasts, live streams. We do podcasts too, check them out. Live streams for the League Community live stream, introducing you guys to riders around the company. I'm a Dylan Most Dirty, you saw Will earlier. We are also going to be trying to bring you guys these special treats for big things hitting PBE. Obviously, the number one thing is champions, but you know, maybe to some extent for like cool skins that are coming out and stuff like that. So make sure to follow us so that you guys get notifications for when the stream is going off. So go ahead, Luke. How's it going?
It's going okay, as long as they don't gank me, and Zed doesn't interact with me at all. Yeah, at this point I'm actually looking for nope. Help.
Got somebody asking, are the orbs hidden when you're in a bush? I would assume so, but at the same time they do damage, so
no, actually, yeah, so the reasoning there is that they're missiles, they do damage, and you know, if you shoot Mystic Shot out of a bush, it shows up.
Okay.
So they actually don't, they're totally invisible, they're visible as their own thing. So they're visible if they sneak over a wall, they're visible.
Okay.
If you're in a bush, they're visible. You're not visible. You're still in the bush. They can't, you know, click on you to auto attack.
But there's a slight giveaway there.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can't find a enemy Aurelion Sol sticking into the bush somewhere. So we decided early on that was like an okay thing for this character. He's not sneaky. This character is very much about being large and boisterous and bringing the stars crashing down on people. So, actually. Gotcha. So yeah, that's the sort of reasoning there. It's definitely a big change. I haven't seen it borne out in playtest as being a huge deal as much as I thought it would. I thought it would be a really big, like, you know, oh man, I can't hide in bushes, what am I going to do? We sort of decided to instead give him a lot of mobility. So it's like, yeah, you can't hide in a bush, but you can show up somewhere in an unexpected manner and accomplish stuff. You know, you don't hide, you're just really mobile. Speaking of which, nice.
Hey, side trick. I know you can see you can't see Cho'Gath in a bush, but I mean, Aurelion's pretty big, man. Check out that splash. Look really closely, I think you can see humans, very tiny ones down the bottom right.
Yes.
What's your KDA? I'm seeing a lot of comments about feeding.
I mean, I am totally feeding.
Oh, it's 0-2, folks. That's not too bad. Maybe about to be 0-3.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay, well, 1 and 3, infinitely better than 3.
Yes. So I'm seeing in the fight there, we've got that orb gameplay going on, which is really kind of the unique. I mean, there are many unique things about him, obviously. But I'd heard you talk a little bit about how there's this fun thing going on where just by being there in the fight, even without necessarily specifically casting things on people, you have a lot of presence. And you can even sometimes just be picking up kills, like not even realizing you've done so. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so something interesting this guy does is because his stars are his main source of damage, at least over the course of a fight, most other characters have to pick a target and they have to use their spells to fight that target. This guy Aurelion can he can be focused on one character, but he can also be forcing other characters to, no, I missed it. Can be forcing other characters to back off, or even like getting closer than they want to, just by virtue of being in the fight and having his stars out. So, I actually want to try and stay a little bit away from this guy so I can build up my flight on E, and then maybe ambush somebody like here. So I'm going to use my EQ combo to EQ really big, and then hit dudes.
Alright.
Here we go. Nice.
Hey, Diver down below, he's just trying to make the other Aurelion Sol look good, you know? He's doing his best.
Yeah, it's all about being player focused. I gotta make sure he gets a good game. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, folks, this with me is Luke Reinhardt, Rabbit Llama, the designer, the gameplay designer on Aurelion Sol. Obviously, a ton of people put in work to create champions here on League of Legends. Luke happens to be the guy who took lead on the gameplay. Luke, I'm seeing a lot of item build questions. Specifically, people are being like, Rylai's Leandries. Is that really where you're going with him? Like, I'm not saying you in this case, but like, what's the build situation?
Yeah, definitely. So like it sort of says here, we found that he needs a mana item and he needs some survivability early, so we tend to go Rod of Ages pretty early on. Okay. But Rylai's is definitely the point where this character sort of turns on. Well, I've had potions and not used them the entire game. I'm sure chat's really mad at me about that.
No, they're mad at you for not using your Q to stun to save your allies.
Oh, good point.
Chad, please teach us more.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so then, but Rylai's is definitely this guy turns on because his stars actually apply the weakest possible Rylai's. They apply the 20% per second, but even that, just reapplied over and over again, means that you have a speed differential over those guys and they can't run away from you, and you can sort of keep your distance from them.
Got an interesting question here from, or not even, I mean, yeah, it's a question from the great Randall Sama about just why does he feel so slow? If I had to guess, Luke, I know you got a crazy fight going on. Wait a second.
Haha. Well, I tried. Why does it feel so slow? I
was going to say, I imagine some of that is probably just the fact that he's so big. You know, to an extent, he still has to have the same move speed, so he'll seem slower even though he moves the same speed as everybody else.
Yeah, but it's actually true that he has the lowest base move. Well, he's tied for the lowest base move speed in the game. Like Anivia has 325 movement speed, which is same as Anivia, same as a lot of sort of really immobile characters. And the reason for that is, especially early on in lane, if he's faster than his opponent.
Yeah, it goes bad. It goes bad for them.
Yeah, the star gameplay just really breaks down. They can't really juke inside of it nearly as easily. Now, to sort of make up for that, his E passive, which is always available even when the spell's on cooldown, lets him move quickly in a straight line, which sort of lets him move around, and then it falls off in combat if he takes damage from a champion or a tower. He just loses the whole passive and has to build it back up again. Also, if he turns around, he loses it. Like right there, I just went back to 350, which is my current.
That's interesting. That's totally new gameplay. We haven't really seen anything like that in the league.
Yeah, so I was happy that we found a way to sort of let him still feel fast, like a dragon that this kind of should, even passively. Is that the rush? And so find a way to have him feel fast without feeling like he was completely unreasonable early in lane. I think he still might be entirely unreasonable, by the way, so like we're definitely paying close attention to balance stuff in PBE, but as much as we can, because PBE is always sort of, it's all custom games, so it's tricky to get really great balance feedback, but...
Luke, I hate to break it to you, but Twitch chat is losing its mind over your CS.
How it's awful? I go see for the first 10 minutes of the game.
Folks, you may not have been here, but we had a technical issue. You can't just switch computers halfway through. Usually I'm on that computer, which is why I can't see what's going on in the game. So give him a break, will ya? We'll let this fight wrap up, and then I got another question that a lot of people are asking.
Who made that spell?
So speaking of that, and this is one that has intrigued me a little bit. People are essentially asking, hey, the ultimate feels a little kind of not ultimately, I guess, compared to the rest of his kit. I know I have a theory on that, but I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's actually a fair criticism. It's actually a fair criticism. The old thing that came last in the kit, we found the sort of orbiting stars gameplay and had been testing it and found that it was actually fun by itself. Like, there was a version of this kit, I mean, obviously not a version we were thinking of shipping, but there was a version of the kit where the only spell he had was, you have stars, they go in and out. And that was, at least as far as like the first 6 levels of laning gameplay, fun. Which was really promising that we found something that was, actually really engaging, and I always wanted to have one more time. Let's start it over here one more time. I can do better this time. So because of that, we really wanted to make sure that we put a lot of power into these stars, the star gameplay.
Sure.
But because of that, and then we had these spells that needed to support it, like the Q really supports being able to move around and being able to sort of keep people at the right range. The E, now the E is more of a utility thing. But because of that, we didn't want to, but I spent a long time trying to find an ultimate that felt appropriately ultimate for a star dragon, right? He should like pull the sun out of the sky and destroy the entirety of Summoner's Rift, but because that's sort of the scale he's at, right? You've seen his